Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I have a really crazy story time for you. However, before I get into it, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who has already subscribed, liked, or commented on my first video. Y'all, that first video, I knew it had to be done. I knew I had to get over that hurdle. But when I tell you it was so cringy to watch myself like play it back on like the actual YouTube platform instead of just like looking through like the recording on my camera, to actually see that it is public. Oh, that was nerve-wracking. But I know that I'm going to get over that like cringy feeling, and I know eventually this will become second nature to me. So thank you for everyone who is supporting me so far. And then lastly, before I get into this story, y'all, look at this hair. I don't know what happened. Like, quite truthfully, this is probably the worst hair day that I've ever had. It's like, ain't no curl there. And I'm gonna just blame it on the fact that I was running out of my hair products and tried a new routine. It looks crazy, so we're just gonna ignore the fact that it looks crazy. So anyways, let's get into the story. So this is a story about a paranormal experience that I had encountered when I was a kid. So I believe I was between the ages of 10 and 13. I was back at my mom's house and they had just purchased the house. I think we had maybe been there 2, maybe 3 years max. And of course we all had like our separate rooms or whatever, but prior to us moving in there, my sister and I used to have bunk beds, which we had for a really long time. It was like those metal bunk beds where you could like separate them into 2 individual twin size beds. So we had them for a really long time, and the apartment that we were at prior to, we had them separate. And then when we moved, my sister was bigger, older. She needed a new bed. But my mom didn't want to throw out the bunk beds, and I loved them. So I was like, shoot, just stack them back up and put them in my room, which is what we did. My sister ended up getting her own like wood bed or whatever. And then I had the 2 bunk beds stacked up in my room, which was cool because at that time I was still a kid. So like a lot of stuffed animals, and I had a lot of toys and everything. And I was a collector back then, y'all. I like to collect a lot of things, some of which being stuffed animals. So what I would do is put my stuffed animals on the top bunk, and then I would sleep on the bottom bunk. Now, yeah, this is when it gets kind of crazy. So I had this stuffed animal monkey. Quite truthfully, looking back, it was pretty creepy. I'm not even gonna lie. It was honestly shaped like a squid. It was really weird. It was like this, and then it had its like little feet dangling at the bottom. So it didn't look like a realistic monkey by any means, but I had it since I was a kid. And like I said, I was a collector, so I like to keep up with everything, and I just kept it over the years. Now this monkey was really special to me, and you know how every little kid, they have like their stuffed animal or they have a blanket or whatever. This was my thing. This was my baby, right? And I called him No Arms because when I was little, my brother and I had gotten in a fight and he ripped his arms off. So it legit, and my mom never sewed up the arms. I didn't want her to. It literally had like holes on either side of the monkey. And I called him No Arms. And he was pretty creepy. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. I wish I had a picture of him, but I don't. I'm pretty sure my mom still have them, but she can keep them. But anyways, so I had my monkey. And you know, there was times where like if it was storm, like a thunderstorm or whatever, I would grab him and like snuggle with him and like go to sleep because that was my baby, right? Well, everything was fine and dandy until a couple years into us living in that house. So I would wake up and the bed would be shaking. I know it sounds cliche, like, oh, every paranormal story has like shaking beds. No, for real, y'all. Like, it would legit be like shaking like that. And see, me, I thought that it was just because maybe the beds were loose. Because, like I said, you could take apart the bunks, and we had done that, I don't know, probably a dozen times between our moves. So I'm like, maybe like some screws are loose or whatever. So I had my mom look at it. It was fine. And the manner in which it was shaking, it wasn't like the slat was loose or the leg was loose or something. It legit, I'm gonna grab this blanket, y'all. It was like I would wake up to it vibrating. And initially, I really did not think anything of it. I just chalked it up to the fact that the bed was old, until it started to happen more frequently, right? To the point where it was every night. And back then, like, I didn't really know what to think of it because I was a kid, you know. And I got scared easily. Like, I didn't ever like horror movies or anything like that. It wasn't enjoyable to me, so I was confused. I wasn't really aware of those types of things, and I didn't know like how to respond to it, but I knew it wasn't right and it was scaring me. And at that time, I didn't think that it had any correlation to the monkey. And then it happened to where it was like weeks on end, like weeks, like every single day for weeks. Then it went to months, and it got to the point where sometimes I would wake up and just like, I would like jolt in my sleep. Like my entire body would just, I don't know how to explain it. My entire body would just like lightning struck my body, and I would just wake up, and it felt like somebody was like yanking me, but like unhumanly forced, if that makes sense. And so that was added on to the shaky bed, and I'm like, okay, I'ma just sleep with a bunch of blankets, like covering everything but my head, like my arms, tuck myself in real good, cover up my neck. Like, I'ma just, sleep like that because I was scared. I don't know. I guess I thought it was like vampires or something, and that's why I like covered up my neck or whatever. I don't know what I thought it was at that time. But then I started tucking myself in with like stacked up blankets everywhere. And it just kept getting worse. And I don't know what made me do this, but one night I just looked at the monkey and was like, I don't trust you, my man. So I think I ended up like putting it in a different room, like the bathroom or my sister's room or something. I don't really remember, but I put it in a different room. That night, peaceful, y'all. Did nothing happen. I slept fine. No shaky bed. No feeling of somebody trying to yank me out my bed. It was fine. I'm like, okay, maybe it just gave me a break for the night. Still not realizing that it was tied to the monkey. Then the night terrors started happening. And I don't mean just a normal nightmare. Maybe you dream about somebody chasing you, or something really tragic happened, or vampires or something along the lines of that. No, y'all, I mean night terrors, like realistic night terrors, like straight up like Satan in my dreams. Y'all, creepy stuff. Like stuff that I had never seen before in my entire existence. Stuff that was never even in movies. And I've seen some scary movies before. I'm not a fan of them, but my siblings like scary movies, so sometimes they will make me watch them with them. But stuff that was never in movies. Oof, it's giving me chills just talking about it, y'all. So one night I had a dream that, let me try to see if I can paint a picture for y'all. I was in what seemed to be, truthfully, the pits of hell. But it seemed like it was just this gigantic cave where like from floor to ceiling, it was like miles high. Colors of the place that I was in was shades of red and black. I remember that there was like, I'm getting chills, y'all, like seriously. I remember whenever I looked up on like the sides of whatever area I was in, it was like a million doors. And for the most part, it was quiet until a door opened. Then like spirits and demons started flying out, screams. And it's like each doorway took you into a different realm of hell. Like it was crazy. And that was the dream that I had. And I just remember walking down like the alley. And there at the very, very end, it was dark and an entity was waiting for me at the end of the alley. And honestly, y'all, like when I was a kid, I was really good at waking myself up in my sleep. Like I could differentiate between a dream and reality. And if I had a dream that I didn't like, somehow I would be able to just like snap myself out of it and I would wake up. And I tried to do that, y'all. Like I was like, I know this is a dream, even though it felt real AF. I was like, I know this is a dream. And I kept trying those tactics and I kept trying to wake myself up to no avail. And at that point I was starting to get scared. And so that was the dream. And then let me kind of like flip to another part of that particular night. So the way my mom's house was set up, as soon as you walk into the door, there's the staircases that go up the stairs, right? And then once you get to the top of the stairs, it's a closet door. And then to the right of it is the bathroom, still facing forward. Then you have to turn and it's my room, my sister's room, and it kind of goes like in a backwards L. You just keep turning till you're like, I don't know, 180, and then it's my mom's room. So does that make sense? Like whenever you go up the stairs, you turn and you just kind of go in like a backwards L shape, and that's where all the rooms were. They were on like the perimeter of the home. And so from mine and my sister's room, you could look over down into the stairs. You could see into the living room. You could see down by the front door. And then you could even peek over the banister, like the railing, and you could see part of the kitchen and the dining room. It's kind of hard to explain, so hopefully you're still following me. So that same night when I had that dream, I suppose in the midst of me trying to wake myself up, I started sleepwalking. So I got out of my bed, and next thing I know, I'm standing at the top of the stairs looking down. And it was a lot of stairs, y'all. It was probably like, I don't know, 20 to 25 stairs. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it was a lot of stairs. And I just remember looking down, and it was so dark, like pitch black. And I was making some type of correlation between when I was in that space in my dream and looking down the alley, seeing like a dark entity. It was the same entity staring back at me when I was looking down the stairs. And y'all, like, I'm getting chills like this. It might not seem scary when I'm telling the story, but it was the scariest crap that I have ever seen in my entire life. So I was looking down at the stairs and I seen like a dark entity, and it started coming up towards me, and I was stuck. I was frozen. And this part was not a dream. This part was reality. I could not move, and it was coming towards me. And I was trying to scream for my mom because her room was on the other side of the wall, but I physically could not speak. Like I couldn't open up my mouth and speak. Like nothing, not even like a squeal was coming out. And somehow I was able to like get loose of whatever had me frozen. And I ran to my mom's room, which was just a couple yards away. I had to go like around the stairs, or around the banister rather. I ran to my mom's room, and I'm knocking on the door. And as I'm waiting for her to answer the door, my eyes just gravitate to downstairs. And she had a motion sensor nightlight plugged into the wall. where when you walk past it at night, it would light up, right? And so I looked down, y'all, I seen a freaking shadow like gravitate past the nightlight, and it lit up. I was like, I know I'm not seeing this right now. I know I'm not seeing this. At this point, I started crying. I crouched down into the corner by my mom's door, and she answers, and she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, I seen something, like it's something in the house. Mind you, I was a kid. So my mama was like, it's nothing in the house. It's just a dream. I'm like, mama, that wasn't no dream. Like, it was not a dream. I seen it. The bed was shaking. Like, I felt somebody grab me. It was not a dream. And it took me forever to be able to go back to sleep that night. I cried so long and hard, like, and she just had to hold me. I don't even know how long. I was terrified. I was like, please do not leave my room. And eventually I fell asleep somehow. And since that day, I was like, you know what? That one day that I took the monkey out my room, nothing happens. So, I was like, this monkey gotta go. Like, I didn't necessarily want to throw it away because that was my baby, you know, growing up. But I was like, this can't be in my room. So I stuffed it into like a chest, like a old chest that my mom had in her room, where she would put like blankets and stuff, like the thick like winter blankets. I put that thing in there, and blissful ever since. Nothing happened to me after that, y'all. And that was probably the scariest experience, because what happened between me having that stuffed animal as a kid and then being like twice that age and being in a different state, a different city, different home, what happened, I don't know. Because like I said, the first like 2-3 years, it was straight, like nothing happens. And then after, nothing happens. So I feel as though it was the monkey, and that's just that. So that is my story time of when I had a paranormal experience when I was a kid. I am still nervous, y'all. It might seem like I'm a little bit more comfortable around the camera, but y'all, when I tell you I'm still nervous, I probably left out some details. I don't know. Hopefully y'all were with me throughout that story time and it wasn't too confusing. But when I tell you that was the scariest thing that I had ever experienced in my entire existence, I was gonna say still to this day, but I got some more story times for y'all. But anyways, that is all I have for today. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Love you.